Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited to be here with my friend, Skyler Badenoch. Skyler and I have been friends for like 13 years, I think. It's pretty
Over a
crazy.
decade.
But I know. Skyler, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really great to be here. Thanks for having me on, Stephanie.
Yes. So I would love if we could just kick things off by you telling our listeners a little bit about what you do, what your organization does, and then maybe a little bit about the journey that led you to where you are today.
Great. Yeah. So I'm Skyler Badenoch, the Chief Executive Officer at Hope for Haiti. And our organization focuses on poverty alleviation in the southern part of Haiti. And we do that by partnering with communities and leaders in Haiti to improve systems of education, healthcare, access to clean water, water sanitation, hygiene, and economic opportunity, all at the same time, all in the same region. And we've been doing this work in Haiti for more than 34 years. So we have a great deal of experience implementing programs, making a collective impact, partnering with government and non-government organizations, working and navigating through all of the challenges that people hear about in Haiti. Our organization's been able to do that. And currently, our staff size overall is 160. We have 160 full-time team members. We have 150 team members in Haiti. They're doctors, nurses, educators, administrators. They're really implementing our work. We have another 10 people here in the United States who focus on fundraising and admin support and administration and finance and marketing and communications, raising the money and the resources so that our team in Haiti can do the work. So that's Hope for Haiti in a nutshell, a high-level overview. And then myself personally, my background, I always start with Peace Corps because that's really what got me started in this field. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa. I was a water sanitation volunteer. And when I left Peace Corps, that really set me off on the path to be involved in international development and pursue a career in international development. I went to graduate school at George Washington University for international development studies, and then got hired by Build On, the organization where we met. And I worked at Build On, helping run international programs for 5 years, mostly in Haiti, Nicaragua, and Malawi, and then transitioned over to fundraising, where I spent another 5 years working at Hope for Haiti, really helping raise and align resources so that at Build On, I spent another 5 years at Build On helping align resources for the development team, and then moved over to Hope for Haiti as their CEO. And so, these last 6 years at Hope for Haiti have been a really incredible part of my professional journey. I've learned so much. I've been able to work with an incredible team, dynamic board of directors, very sophisticated, thoughtful donors. And like I'm sure we'll get into, I've been able to innovate and have some autonomy to really take the organization in directions that I had hoped to when I started 6 years ago.
First of all, thank you. I can't believe you've been at Hope for Haiti for 6 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we were just talking about you moving over there, and super exciting. But that kind of leads right into my first question. You mentioned that Hope for Haiti has been around for over 30 years. And I know at least for quite some time, the founders were very involved in the organization. And that can often, for a new CEO or a new executive director, be kind of a tricky situation to come in and really bring some new ideas to the table and innovate, but you've really been able to do that and do some exciting things. How has that been for you? How has that been possible to come into this existing organization, founders very involved, and come in and really innovate?
Well, I love that question because when I started working at Hope for Haiti, the Keener family, Joanne Keener, the founder, and Tiffany Keener, who was the CEO before I was the CEO, and then who became the board chair, they had a vision, and their vision was to really transition a lot of the management and leadership away from being family run. And that was something that they committed to. It was something that they adhered to. And ultimately, Joanne stepped off the board and became a board member emeritus status. Tiffany stepped off the board and became board member emeritus status. But we worked together to really implement a plan of a transition in leadership at the board level. And I think that, combined with just their vision that Hope for Haiti was going, if it was going to be an organization that continued to grow and carry on with their legacy, was going to have to be an organization that had a different leadership structure. And so they were very intentional about that. They were very intentional about, in many ways, stepping away, and giving me the space. But one of the things that I think was transformational in my ability to come on and help lead the organization, at least through my first 3 years, was this transformational gift we got from the Ray and Barbara Dalio Foundation. And this gift, in my mind, was something that really provided me with an opportunity to not really come into a position and try to fundraise out of a position of desperation. And what they did was they provided a $1.5 million grant over 3 years for to support the transition of the new CEO, which was me. And so $500,000 a year of of general operating support gave me the resources that I needed to not feel like I'm going to be, drinking from the fire hose and trying to fundraise. But I had those resources on hand so that then we could, go about a SWOT analysis, and we could do a strategic plan and think about what we wanted to change and what we wanted to improve and what opportunities we wanted to take advantage of and what threats we wanted to mitigate. And I'm talking all this because I was just looking back at our 2017 SWOT analysis, much of which is no longer relevant because we did so much of it. We were able to, change some of the branding. We were able to invest in a new website. We were able to invest in some new leadership. We were able to, one of the things that we did as an organization was get together and collectively be together in the same room. We invested in that. We used the funding that we had to actually be together and plan and develop relationships. And I think that was a game changer. It was really a game changer. So it was a combination of having the right funding in place. And that was one of the best to me in philanthropy. I think of that as one of the most thoughtful, forward-thinking gifts that propelled our organization because gave us the resources. So the resources combined with, I think, the intention of the founding family to help make this transition, because it just seemed very seamless. And then we know that it's not always seamless when you're working with a founder transitioning out of leadership position.
Yeah, I feel like every executive director and CEO listening is like, okay, how do I ensure that I've got $1.5 million over 3 years to come into an organization?
Well, that was really Tiffany and obviously the Dalio family, but they really talked it through and came up with this very thoughtful idea. And it was, I'll tell you, like I was kind of on the fence. It's always nerve-wracking changing jobs, especially at a place I had been at Build On for 10 years. And I was having a lot of, doubt, and it was hard for me to make that move. But then knowing that I had that, that cash coming in was exciting. So that definitely helped me say yes. And it's a hard thing for sure to have happen, but I definitely wish more philanthropists and I wish more foundations would see that as a really important way to make a transformational impact through giving.
Yeah, because I bet that you could think about the past 6 years and what you've been able to do at Hope for Haiti as CEO in terms of programmatic impact, but also like fundraising. And a lot of that is, I'm sure, like sort of tracing back and potentially attributed to the fact that like you said, you weren't drinking from a fire hose from day one. You had the support and you had the backing to build a foundation, start to build the relationships. And you could probably okay, how can we turn this into a grant proposal? I'm like, you could probably attach
definitely
numbers and metrics to what that $1.5 million was able to do over the last 6 years and beyond. That's incredible. And I feel like one thing in the entrepreneurial space that we're always taught as CEOs of our own businesses is that we need to make sure that the company can run without us. And
Mm.
so I think for, Joanne and Tiffany Keener to be thinking of like, how can this organization run without us? Like that's very strategic and very smart. And I feel like it's something maybe we don't, I feel like it's something I don't see all the time is like, how can we set this organization to run entirely without us? So I love that.
And in some ways, they set the culture because it made me think of it too, and the reality is at some point, I'm not going to be working at Hope for Haiti. I don't know when that's going to be, but my intention, but following the lead of Joanne and Tiffany and the board is how do we build a dynamic group of leaders who can help take this organization through, turnover of key positions, tumultuous times, maybe a down fundraising year. Like when I think one of the things I'm most proud of, Stephanie, is that when I started at Hope for Haiti, our COO, left and went to do other things. And so it was really just me in the C-suite, right? And today we have a chief operating officer, chief development officer, chief marketing officer, chief financial officer. We have an entire C-suite of leaders who are leading this organization. And I have no doubt in my mind that if any of us, went on to pursue something else, we're going to be okay. We have
Mhm.
a bench of deep leadership and leaders who know what to do, if they're required to step up in their roles. So that's something that I think has definitely trickled down from Joanne and Tiffany's leadership and thoughtfulness in their transition away from leadership positions at Hope for Haiti. They're, by the way, still involved. They, we talk, occasionally, and Joanne was just at our event, a big event in Naples, and Tiffany went to our Brooklyn event, and so they're definitely still supporters and huge cheerleaders for the organization, but they definitely set the culture, and that has been a driving force for our growth over the last few years.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's so important. And so for anybody listening, like the goal is to not have you at the center of the entire organization. The goal is to build that culture, build that team, build those systems so that the organization really can run without you. And that's sustainability. That's what is going to ensure that this organization is around long after you and continuing to have the impact that you wanted to have. And you talked a few, like a couple things you mentioned about culture. And I happen to know that many of the people in your C-suite have grown up through the organization and were not hired as chief whatever officers.
That's right.
And so I think that alone says a lot about the culture of the organization. And I personally know many members of your team, and the culture at Hope for Haiti is so strong. And I would love for you to like share a little bit more about that. How have, are there some, things that you have brought to help sort of build that culture internally? What do you think? What is your secret sauce for having such a strong internal culture?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple things, because at the end of the day, we're about impact, right? We're about making things happen, making life better for people in difficult situations in Haiti, improving the quality of life. And so that's always top of mind. But sometimes I think you have to think about, well, who's actually doing that, right? Like who's actually out there on the ground doing the work? And the answer to me is, and you said it before, it's the people, it's the team. And so what drives sustainable, scalable impact, I always think, to me, in my roles, I've seen it, it's the people. And so there are a couple things that I think are really important. Number one, autonomy. And we want people who can be autonomous in their roles. That's not saying they're just going to go off on their own and do their own thing, and there's no system that they're working in. But I think telling people and agreeing, working with people and saying, okay, here are the goals, here are the objectives, here are the tactics. Use your own ability to get there. And there's always several different ways to get to the end result. But I've felt that it's important that people do that on their own, and they go through their own process of figuring out what works best for them. And I think that's worked at Hope for Haiti. The second thing is and I feel very passionate about this, is that people are clear about their trajectory and their growth trajectory, and they feel like they're part of something that's important to them, that the impact is happening, that they're also fairly compensated. Like that's a big thing for me, we're looking at compensation across the board in our sector, and that we're fairly compensating people, and that we're competitive around it. And then I think third is that people feel as if they're growing, that they're developing their skill set, that they're getting better, that they're improving. When I think of the team members, we just had our board meeting, right? We went around the table, everybody introduced themselves, and it's like, how long have you been at Hope for Haiti? 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 13 years. And that to me
It's
is a
incredible.
testament that people have felt like this is a place they want to stay. They feel like they can grow. They have autonomy, and they're not just growing. They're not, think about this too. They're not just growing professionally, but it's been amazing to see people grow personally, and being able to work for an organization that benefits people in Haiti, but also that they can do well in their own personal lives. That to me is important, so that it's something more than just a transactional work professional experience, but that we know each other, we cheer each other on, we're passionate about each other's success. And for me personally, that's been one of the most rewarding things working at Hope for Haiti. You can think about building a school or providing healthcare to hundreds of thousands of people who are definitely in need. Those are all inspiring moments for me, but I'm also equally inspired and get almost emotional when I get to see my colleagues grow personally and professionally, because I know that they're the type of people who care just as much about the mission, and that they're going to help propel our organization to new heights. And so I guess, to your question about how do you create culture, I think, part of it is creating the right dialogue around it, and making sure that we're clear around core values, and we're clear around mission and vision. That's important. Part of it is autonomy. Part of it is leading by example. I think that we all have to, admit that, as a leader, leading by example is a really important strategy for creating the right culture. I'm a personal fan of humor, so keeping things light. Like, our work is hard enough in Haiti. It gets pretty heavy, especially during times where we're dealing with natural disasters and earthquakes and like crushing poverty and gang activity and things that are just really hard to deal with. I've developed this principle that you have to be and stay humorous, and even in some of the hardest situations, be appropriate, obviously, but like, we got to be able to find levity in situations and amongst ourselves. And I think that's kept things light at Hope for Haiti. And so those are some of the things that I think about when I think about our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's accountability. Right? So then there's are we actually doing what we say we do? We have to be accountable to our donors. We have to be accountable to our our auditors and our board members and ourselves. And so that accountability piece is also incredibly important.
Oh my gosh, I have like 50 follow-up questions.
Yeah.
One thing that I feel like we often see in the nonprofit sector is like, we're wearing all the hats, or like there's a sense of like martyrdom. We're martyrs to the mission. And I don't feel like I see that wearing all the hats type thing at Hope for Haiti. And does it feel like that for you, or does it not? I mean, I hope it doesn't, but it really doesn't seem like I see that at all in your culture.
No, and I think that was something that we set the tone really early on. I often like to hear the solutions to problems from anybody on our team. In fact, when we created this part of our culture, when people would come, with a problem, I think when I first started, people were like, well, we're just going to ask Skyler because he's going to, and my first question was, well, what would you do? And I did that because I do that because, first of all, most likely the answer is the same. Like, we would come up with the same solution, but sometimes not. And so I think just being able to hear different perspectives on solving problems has been incredibly important to me. And to your point, I'd much rather prefer having a team of people who can take the leadership role in certain areas, in development, in marketing, in finance, and that I get to be a collaborating partner. That's not to say, Stephanie, if I have a strong opinion about something, and I think we should go a different direction, I think I know I have that ability, and I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of
Mm-hmm.
the time, it's just we know we know that it's gonna lead to the same end result. So when it comes to an important decision, I'd much rather have use a collaborative leadership style,
Mm-hmm.
possible. And sometimes it's just not possible, but most of the time at Hope for Haiti, we're making decisions collaboratively, and it feels better that way. It feels like more
Yeah.
people are involved. I think our team feels that, and they feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, and they get to be part of the decision-making process. And that's really important to me.
Yeah. Well, before you mentioned like everybody's aligned on the core values. So if you're aligned on the core values and you're aligned on the mission, you're right. Like the end decision is probably going to be the same. And I love that you have specialists in each, like in the C-suite, that are, they have the autonomy to kind of drive things their way. When you mentioned before about the first thing you said in terms of creating this organizational cultures around autonomy, and
Mhm.
what is sometimes, we all make mistakes, right? And so I'm thinking like autonomy, if somebody has the power to kind of do things their way, they're going to make mistakes.
Sure.
And what is like the organizational culture at Hope for Haiti around mistakes?
Well, yeah, we don't have we don't have any sort of set rule, but definitely mistakes are made, and they're made at different levels. We don't want to make the mistakes. There are certain mistakes that I think are unexcusable, especially at our stage as an organization. You just don't make. And so those are mistakes that, those are pretty clear, cut and dry mistakes. But when you're innovating and you're trying something new, inevitably you are going to be making mistakes. Inevitably, you might fall short of where you thought you were going to be. And so what our mentality has been, let's just say, for example, if we're going to try a new program, right? We want to try a new program. We implemented this new program as a pilot program last year. We were providing digital cash transfers to 300 women in our nutrition program, but we were doing it in partnership with cryptocurrency companies. And the donors were Coinbase and Cello, and our implementing partner was Emoja. And we knew for sure that it was going to be there were going to be pain points. And I think as a leader, I had to set the example and say, hey, it's not going to go the way we think it's going to go, but it's important that we do this. It's important that we go through this exercise. It's important that we iterate, and the mistakes will happen. And I think if you just embrace it, and also I think it's important that there's no like blaming of anything. There's no, if it went wrong, we weren't leveraging our whole organization's reputation on this thing. We were piloting it. And so that
Yes.
I think what I'm trying to say is like we were willing to make mistakes in the pilot. Now, if it was this big, huge program that we had a lot riding on it, I think we want to be a lot less. We want to be more flawless. You know what I mean? Like we want to be
Yeah.
really, really dialed into what we're doing. And of course, things don't always go right, but it's when we're talking about piloting or trying new things, like that's fair game. We can
Yeah.
make mistakes and learn, and that's been a part of our work culture for a long time, and I think people appreciate it. I've heard some feedback from our colleagues. One of my colleagues, Sarah Porter, came to me. She's like, I want to do a VR. I want to do a VR activation, virtual reality, and
Mm-hmm.
we want to raise money. And we thought, maybe we can raise some really good money. And to date,
Yeah.
we actually haven't converted to revenue, but I'm okay with that because of what we've learned along the way and who we've met and the people who have come into our sphere of communication now. like the story's not done. And
Yeah.
so I just think, we have to be, if we're going to innovate, especially in this field, I think we have to be um, welcoming of the mistakes and the things that go wrong.
Yeah. I think that's awesome because again, like in the entrepreneurial space, we're taught to like try new things all the time, just keep
Yeah.
failing, keep trying. And you're eventually going to land on, whatever that big thing is, but I feel like that same idea to just like keep doing things, keep trying, keep failing, because that's the only way you're going to get to like whatever that point B is. It just doesn't feel the same. But I feel like I see you and Hope for Haiti trying different things. And I like that you had that distinction between like, yeah, let's try, let's like be open to failure for like a pilot project. You know, let's not risk our like core programming or like some
Yeah.
core
Or
fundraising
like, let's
on
innovate with
some
our
new
audit,
thing.
like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
we're not going to do that. We're just going to,
No,
we're going to,
no,
we're going to follow, best practices
exactly.
and do that the right way. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like another quality that I see a lot in Hope for Haiti is your transparency. And I share this all the time because I know that I don't know if you still do this, but you definitely have before. But when you get your audit back, when you get your audit report, your audited financials, you proactively email that to your whole list. Because I'm on your list. I've gotten your emails before,
Well,
like,
it's coming
hey,
out. We do it during tax season. That's
I
kind of
love it.
yeah.
And it's like most organizations, okay, we get the audit done, like, oh, thank God it's done. Let's just like throw it up on our website. Let's not think about this again. But you're like, no, we're going to proactively share it with everyone because this is something that we're really proud of. I don't see a lot of organizations doing that. Is that something that Hope for Haiti has always done? Did you start doing that? What's the like
I
impetus for that?
I think I think it sort of came about, and I did. I definitely pushed for that, for us to be more proactive in sharing our audited financial statements and our 990. And I actually remember one of our board members like, "Why are we doing this again?" And then she's like, "Wait, this is amazing." And I love that
Yes.
because it was this realization that there's so much mistrust in philanthropy and international development, and then go even deeper. There's so much mistrust of organizations working in Haiti because of what happened during or after the 2010 earthquake. And
Mhm.
so I particularly was like, well, what can we do to be more transparent? Well, let's push this out. And a lot of organizations on social media and through their email lists are, we're going to show a video, or we're going to show a picture, and we're going to do testimonial. But my thought process was, well, what about for those people who are like, yeah, but can we trust them? Can we
Mhm.
really? And I say, then kick the tires, dig into the 990, look at the audited
Mhm.
financial statements. And we don't want to just put it on our website and be passive about it, but we want to be proactive about it and get it into the hands of all of our donors, because that's information that if they're some donors they're going to always look at the picture, and they're going to see the impact, and they're going to donate because of that. But some of those donors who are on the fence, and those people who are on the fence, they may ultimately say, like, Hope for Haiti is an organization that I support, not just because of the impact they make or the leadership team that they have, but also because I've looked at the financials, I've looked at their audit financial statements, I looked at their 990, and it all checks out.
Mhm.
And so that's
Mhm.
just one thing that I thought it was an easy lift for us. So we just filed our 990, and we're going to be doing, we always do it in the month of April. And
Mhm.
so that's a little foreshadowing. It's going to be coming out, and we're going to be sharing that with our list and our donors and over social media, and making sure that people have a chance to see our financial statements.
I love that. I do. So anybody's listening, like not a lot of organizations are doing this. So this is one way to really like make yourself stand out, is by sharing this information, because it is really impressive. I feel like as a donor or supporter to not have to go digging for it, because the information's there. Like I can go find your 990 without you emailing it to me. But
Uh,
for an organization to proactively be like, hey, here's our numbers, check it out. We're really proud of like this last year. We're proud of our audit results. I think is really impactful. And again, not a lot of organizations are doing this. Um, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about fundraising, because you have a lot of experience in fundraising. I feel like you are so creative, and also, like literally everyone in every sector, everywhere around the world. I feel like if anybody, like if I feel like if I need to like make a connection with somebody in this like very niche thing, somebody or someone who does. I feel like that is a very useful trait in the fundraising world. But I would love to talk about your capital campaign, because number one, we haven't talked about this, like just, chatting as friends. But I'd love to hear about what y'all are doing at Hope for Haiti with your capital campaign.
Yeah, so it's in the very early stages, but unfortunately in 2021, the southern region of Haiti experienced a 7.2 magnitude earthquake that destroyed the livelihoods of people in the region. It impacted the lives of our team. It destroyed schools and healthcare facilities. We run a healthcare facility in the southern capital city of Lake High, that, before the earthquake was treating about 25,000 patients a year, which was a lot for us. And we had one building that we built in like 2015, finished in 2015. And we had two other auxiliary buildings that were used for public health and then also for, admin. Those two buildings that were built, many years ago before I became involved with Hope for Haiti, they were totally destroyed in the earthquake. And at the same time, other healthcare facilities in the southern part of Haiti were totally destroyed. So we were fully operational as a team. We had a big team in place. Some of our facilities were compromised. The land itself had some definitely was compromised during the earthquake. It's also very close to the ocean, so we're worried about tropical storms coming through again, as frequent as they are these days. And our board has agreed to put in motion the purchase of a piece of land, 8 acres of land in southern Haiti. Just had a phone call today about it with the owners of the land. And our intention is to build a green and sustainable healthcare campus that will include a main healthcare facility. Mostly it will be outpatient. So people who are coming in for chronic care, hypertension, diabetes, asthma, women and children will have a strong focus on maternal and women's health. We're going to have a dental component to the work that we do there. And that will help us meet the capacity that we're seeing now. Right now, we're seeing, our healthcare team saw 110,000 patients last year. That's up from 25,000, so fourfold, right? And the reason that we're seeing that is because the healthcare system has been really taxed by the earthquake, by the social and political situation in Haiti. Many healthcare facilities have fallen down or not even operational. And so here we are sitting in a place where we're seeing an overflow of patients. When I was there in Haiti in December, I walked in and there's 250 patients, moms with their kids.
God.
And I'd never seen it like that. Even after the earthquake, I'd never seen so many people. And it's because, we're still operational. So we need to build something that's going to help us meet the needs. And building on the place where we are now, our board felt like would be a risk because of the land, because of the proximity to the ocean. And so the idea is to build out a little bit outside of the city in a little bit more of a rural area, but not, it's like maybe 2 miles away from, it's a mile away from. Anyway, we're going to be building a depot as well to help us import and distribute millions of dollars of medication and medical supplies that we get into the country.
Wow.
Our intention is to build a new guest house and administrative buildings, and then also focus on community wellness. There is something to be said about the amount of trauma that people have gone through over the last few years in Haiti with the natural disasters and also with the political and civil unrest. And so we believe that there's going to be a need for more holistic healthcare. And so we'll be designating some of our resources to that. And then some administrative, most likely a guest house, depending on where the funding level comes in. My initial estimate is about $5 million it's going to take to build this new facility and this
Mm-hmm.
new compound, and it'll probably cost us another $2 million a year annually to run, which is where we're at
Wow.
now. And so
Mhm.
the good news is we know what it takes to run a healthcare facility, an outpatient facility that treats hundreds of thousands of patients, because we're doing it. And we can
Mhm.
look at those budgets historically, and we can look back 5 years and look at the growth. We can see, what the staffing levels are and the maintenance and the the energy needs are. Like, we have all that information, which I think puts us in a really good position to make a very educated decision on, what it take to run the facility. So that
Yeah.
all said, we are going to be buying this land. We're going to be raising the money. We're going to be building the facility, and then we're going to staff it and run it and operate it. And my hope is that it stands as as another testament to our commitment in the southern part of Haiti, in a place that has been just hit hard by natural disasters and unrest. And so I'm really excited about it. I think it's the timing's right for our organization to do this. We have the right leadership in place, and so it fits well with our mission, our experience, and what we are trying to accomplish with our work.
Yeah, that's so exciting. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for you. So what is the time horizon? What's the time frame of the capital campaign?
Yeah, I'm guessing we're most likely going to be moving into a silent phase here in the next, I would say, 3 to 6 months. Um, all the while doing, designs and plans and budgets, so that we at least have that we can share with potential donors and investors in our work. And then, I think once we have a pretty good idea of how much cash we're going to have, we'll at least start with the new facility, the main facility, the outpatient facility. The other buildings, like the public health space and the guest house and all that stuff, we could take a phased approach, but it's just going to depend on it will depend on where we end up with the capital campaign and how much we're able to raise. But I think I think we have definitely we're within reach of raise the amount that we need to build the first facility, which is the outpatient facility, which I think is one of the most important parts of it. And then we could incrementally sort of build out from there. I'd much rather
Mhm.
do it all at once, because I think
Yeah.
that would be huge for us, and the region needs it.
Mhm.
So I would say the build is probably going to be about 12 to 18 months.
Gotcha. And are you approaching this? I don't know if you've done a capital campaign before, but are you like, what kind of like fresh or innovative or new approaches or ideas are you bringing to this? I'm sure you've got some.
Just a
You always
few.
do.
I think there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about. Number one is that I think now more than ever, we have the ability to harness green technology. So solar panels and even biodigesters on the property. I'm also a big proponent of agriculture and nutrition. And so with the amount of land that we have, 8 acres, I would love to see some sort of community gardening going on, as well as some tree reforestation to add to the. I'd like to make sure that our facility is carbon neutral, and so we're planting trees and producing tree seedlings, and that we're harnessing as much renewable energy as possible to run the operations. That's really exciting to me. I think the other piece of it is that because we've seen so many facilities damaged or destroyed, one of the things that we would love to build as part of this facility is a training center. And that's not just a training center for Hope for Haiti and a place where we can meet as a team, because we're 150 strong, but it's something that we can open up to the community. We can open up to government partners. We can open up to non-government organizations that are working in the area, so that it can be their facility too. Collaboration is it's one of our core values, and it's been an important part of our success. And I think building something that can be used by other organizations, including our own, would be incredibly beneficial to the entire community and to the system. And so that would be a second thing that I'm really excited about. And then third, I think there's an opportunity. We've been talking about the importance of telehealth, and with some improvements in internet, I think that it's going to be inevitable that we're going to be able to do much more telehealth in the rural areas, where we can get people face to face with doctors before they have to jump on a motorcycle or a bike and spend all this money to get somewhere they can have at least an initial consultation. So I think, if anything, I think telehealth would probably be another important component of this.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I
we're
feel like I
excited about
have
it.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. I have two more questions for you. So my second to last question is, so you mentioned, like, going back to kind of your history, you started working in programs,
Mm,
in international programs, and then shifted over to fundraising.
yeah.
And I know probably a lot of our listeners have sat in different roles in organizations before. Fundraising is hard. Like, what were some of the things when you made that shift and then you were responsible for not just making sure schools were built, but now you're responsible for bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure those schools are going to continue to be built. How did you make that transition? Like, if you were thinking, if you were sort of giving a new fundraiser, or maybe even a new executive director or CEO, a couple tips on really how to sort of like get that ball rolling when it comes to fundraising for the organization, what would you say?
Yeah, there are a couple things, and even early on, in my nonprofit career, I started at this organization called the Appleseed Foundation. It was a small, medium-sized nonprofit in DC, and the executive director at the time, I'll never forget it. She, gave me a shot at my first job at a Peace Corps, and I watched her fundraise as an executive director, and she was not relentless, but she was just all over the place, doing meeting with foundations, getting grants. And that, I think, just watching the way that she embraced fundraising was a great lesson to me. And I think about her all the time, and what she was able to do and bring in, and the way that she went about accepting her role as a fundraising exec. She was the executive director, and I've always taken that to heart. And so when I had jobs in programs, I was thinking, like, well, how can I bring in a little bit of extra? Like, so I think first for me, while I was in charge of managing programs and making sure that schools got built, I was always thinking, I have a pretty good line to have a conversation with a funder, because we're out here in the country. I remember we were in Nicaragua once. I was out in the countryside, and I met with the embassy of Japan. And remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up
Yep.
working with them, but it really started with a conversation. And I was like, hey, let's build like 10 schools together or something like that. And you just have to have that mentality. And so that mentality has always been part of, my work mentality. This role is so different, though, because I think as a CEO, or, if you're the executive director, I think you have to have the mindset that it is your responsibility to go out there and find new donors, and cultivate donors, and steward donors, and be a major part of the fundraising team. And you just have that's the starting off point, is just having that mindset. And if you don't like it, figure out ways that you can, that it's enjoyable to you. Here's a great example. I've even, I did a lot of fundraising for Build On, and now at Hope for Haiti for 6 years. And rarely will I sit in front of somebody at a table and tell them and explain to them that we need their support and we need their $10,000 donation. That's not the way. Some people are really good at that, and I can do it, but that's not personally inspiring to me. And so I had to find my way, my personal way of fundraising. And so one of those ways that I found was to bring people along, bring people to Haiti, bring people to go see the work and understand the mission. You can't always do that with everybody, but that definitely did two things for me. It helped create an advocate, somebody who saw the work in a very intimate way and they believe in it. And then they are going to go back and share with their network why it's important to support the organization. They're also going to donate themselves. So having a set group of people that you're always sort of bringing along in an intimate journey when you can, I love that. Not only that, then I get closer to the impact too. So I'm like authentically inspired by that kind of relationship. So I think as a leader, as much as you can do what gives you joy and passion, for me, it was, let's go out to the field. Let's go out to Haiti and talk to teachers, and let's go interview students, and let's go see a healthcare facility or a mobile clinic, or let's go see a school getting built. Let's go inaugurate that school. Like all of those ways were really great ways for me to not have to sit in front of somebody and say, we need your $10,000, check so we can make payroll. And that's been very helpful to me. The other thing is I love fundraising research. Like it's just become a passion of mine. And it started from that first job in DC at the Appleseed Foundation. They're like, go to Foundation Center and do a bunch of research on what organizations, support our kind of work. And I've always done research. And we have people on our team who are in charge of grant writing, in charge of research. And I particularly enjoy it. So I carve out a little bit of time and I do research. And a great example of how that paid off was I was doing research around who supported relief and recovery efforts after the 2010 earthquake. I recognized that the embassy of Qatar had made a $10 million commitment, but I found out that they had $2 million basically unspent, and it was close to the 10-year anniversary. And I did that research and I made a couple inroads there, and I made a pitch and said, look, we can help you spend that down by the 10th anniversary. And that was a game changer for us. But I love that research and then the stewardship of the donor. And then once they said yes to the money, one of my favorite parts was seeing our team just like blow it out of the water. We're going to do 50,000, we were like, we're going to do this many medical consults. I think it was like 50,000, and we crushed it. Our team crushed it. And that just, I think, was so inspiring to me, but then that also creates a cycle. So we're able to go back to other donors and say, Qatar Founding, the Qatar Haiti Fund gave us $2 million. And look what we were able to do. And here's the proof. And so that type of fundraising has always been, that's been more interesting to me than the transactional stuff. And then the last piece is just, it is so relationship driven. And what I've learned, Stephanie, is that, I'm out here in Arizona, but I can't just be out here in Arizona. So I've got to go to, traveling is a big part of what I do. So is breaking bread with people. And, we had a former colleague, mentor of mine, Mark Friedman, and he was always like, you got to break bread with people. You got to eat a meal with somebody, get to know who they are. So I love that. First of all, I like eating food. Second of all, I like learning about people and having those conversations. Like that gives me energy. And so building those relationships has been so valuable. And, I've been so fortunate to make now lifelong friends, people who, they'll support Hope for Haiti, but it's now a relationship transcends Hope for Haiti. We support each other's lives and our aspirations, and we become friends. Sometimes we end up vacationing together, and all that makes this job joyful. And I think I said it earlier, like the work is hard enough. So we got to find ways to find joy and humor and all that stuff. And so those are just a few things that I think have helped me along the way. So
I love that. And I think it's, like what you said, it's about finding that that way that works for you. And it's the building relationships and having meals with people and getting in front of them and getting to know them. And I think what that does is that, I mean, you have like the biggest network of anybody I've ever met. And it's because you do this, you take the time to do this, and you're generous with your time. And so in return, people want to support you, and people want to then connect you with other people who want to support you. So it all like,
Yeah.
it's this like beautiful ecosystem. But I love the advice that to just find the way that it's going to work for you, because not, maybe some people do want to sit down and just be like, hey, can I have 10 grand for a mission? But others that may feel very uncomfortable. So I
Yeah,
love that. I love that
I,
advice.
I have this word that I kind of developed, and it's always stuck in my head. It's a philanthropic fiduciary. And I think about it a lot because more than just having somebody support Hope for Haiti, I really want people to donate and give back to what they care about. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I might meet with somebody who I think is a good donor, and they're like really interested in like animals, I'm not going
Can't
to
help you.
try to fit that square peg into a round hole. I'm going to be like, well, let's find a really great, like donkey rescue. Like I've met somebody like passionate about donkeys. I'm like, then let's figure that out.
Really
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because people's experience,
amazing.
it's what they experience. Maybe they grew up on a farm and they love, they had a favorite dog. Like that is not outside the realm of any conversation that I've had before. And I
I
think
believe
it's
it.
really important to be the fiduciary if we're in this world. So I can be like, well, let's figure it out. Like what's the
Hmm.
place where you can get involved and you can give back and serve and donate. Like doesn't always have to be Hope for Haiti. I think that's always been, I've been fortunate to be in that position, and it always feels good when I remember there was a guy who came, he was really into music and wanted to, we had a great relationship, and I helped connect him to some places to give back through music. And he still ended up 10 grand. So it was nice. It was like,
Nice.
it was what that person was passionate about, but also, he was willing to step up and help support our organization. And he donated to support our water program.
That's
But
awesome.
that building that community, I think, it pays off in the long run. It really does.
Hmm.
Just being authentic about it.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. I love that. Well, I feel like I could keep talking to you for about 3 more hours, but I have one final question because we are just at about time. So, my final question is, what does a prosperous nonprofit look like to you?
yeah, it's such a good question. I think it's not just one thing, right? Like being a prosperous nonprofit, there's a multidimensional answer there. But I think for me, it's number one that you have a set of core values, a mission, and a vision. Have to have that. And then you have to have the right people, the right leadership and governance structures. Like that is non-negotiable. I think you also, a prosperous nonprofit has to have diversified revenue. If you are just beholden to one donor or a small group of donors, I think that would raise a lot of red flags for me. So a diversified revenue stream. And then I think a prosperous nonprofit is an organization that doesn't just work in a silo, but it's an organization that lifts others up in their ecosystem, in whatever field they're working in, that they're helping support other organizations, they're helping support community. And so those are some things that come to mind when I think of a prosperous nonprofit.
I love that, especially the part about the community. And I think that just
Yeah.
speaks to like your abundance mindset, that there is like enough to go around for all of us. Like it's not like if you support somebody else, that means you are getting less support somewhere else, like I love that. So Wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time. I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, super excited to have you here, Skylar. Where can our listeners, if they want to learn more about Hope for Haiti and or find you on social media, where can we go?
Yeah, hopeforhaiti.com is our website. You can follow us on our social handles, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I know we're hard to do TikTok, but that's all Hope for Haiti. I'm not on TikTok yet, Stephanie. So yeah,
Not
maybe
yet. Just
not
wait.
yet. And then myself personally, all my social media handles are Skyler Badenoch, SkylerBadenoch.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Please go check out Hope for Haiti, follow along with their amazing work and with Skylar as well, and get on their email list because you will see very soon their email coming out with their audited financials.
We're
So
gonna
you'll
get
have a
it.
perfect example.
Dig into those numbers.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Skylar. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Stephanie.